Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and warm greetings to you all from South Africa. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the first online course on a guide to gender mainstreaming in African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA National Strategies, convened by the African Trade Policy Center, ATPC, and the Institute for Economic Development and Planning, IDEP. My name is Nadira Bayat, and I will be your course director and will lead you through the course content in English. My colleague Aissatou Diallo from Senegal will do the same in French. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm from Durban, but I'm based in Pretoria, and I currently work as the gender and trade expert on an AfCFTA National Strategies project with the African Trade Policy Center at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. I have a legal background with a specialization in international law. I also have both national and international civil service experience, having served with the South African government for over 10 years in various senior positions, including as Counselor for Multilateral Affairs at the South African Embassy in Washington, D.C. Before that, I served in various capacities with the UN, including at the UN International Court of Justice, the UN Transitional Administration in East Timor, and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Participants, friends, it's such a privilege and honor for me to be teaching this course, and I say this for many reasons. But I say this mainly because as the continent gets ready to implement the historic AfCFTA agreement, we have the unique opportunity to champion an inclusive approach that promotes the full, equal, and meaningful participation of women in the AfCFTA. Now, the deeply gendered socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 affects the most vulnerable and marginalized populations, among which women are disproportionately represented the most. And this critical juncture in the crisis presents a unique opportunity for policymakers in particular to formulate gender-responsive policies and complementary measures that help to rebuild more inclusive societies through the creation of equal opportunities for women and men in the AfCFTA. This time also provides the opportunity and other stakeholders from the private sector, civil society, and development partners, particularly in the context of this course, for those stakeholders who want to learn more about how to support and contribute to the design of gender-responsive policies and other targeted measures that help to build back better in longer-term post-COVID-19 economic recovery efforts. And that is why we convene for this course. With that, I would now like to turn to the course learning objectives. Now, the objectives of the course on a guide to gender mainstreaming in AfCFTA national strategies is to provide guidance on a gender-sensitive approach to the implementation of the AfCFTA, specifically through the process of gender mainstreaming in national strategies or other policy processes to support the effective implementation of the AfCFTA agreement. Upon successful completion of the course, as course participants, you should be able to recognize that despite the potential, AfCFTA market liberalization will impact women and men differently, and understand the need for proactive measures that remove gendered barriers to trade and create quality jobs and equal opportunities for women and men in the AfCFTA. Number 2, you should be able to also identify strategic sectors for gender equality and women's economic empowerment, including in agriculture, in manufacturing, in services, and understand how opportunities and constraints could shape women's participation in the AfCFTA. You will also be able to understand how key provisions in the AfCFTA agreement could be leveraged to advance gender equality and economic empowerment opportunities for women according to the key economic roles they play, and to design a strategy for mainstreaming gender in AfCFTA national strategies, particularly in terms of understanding 3 steps for operationalizing gender mainstreaming and how to apply a gender analysis to key components of an AfCFTA national strategy. Finally, you will know and you will understand how to formulate gender-responsive policies and complementary measures that help to build back better in longer-term post-COVID COVID-19 economic recovery efforts with gender equality, sustainability, and human rights at the core. Now, the course consists of 4 modules, and each module is organized around the following key topics. Module 1 will focus on the AfCFTA gender and development. Module 2 will focus on strategic sectors for gender equality and women's economic empowerment, and how opportunities and constraints could shape women's participation in the AfCFTA. Module 3 will focus on operationalizing the approach to gender mainstreaming in AfCFTA national strategies. And Module 4 will focus on gender and the AfCFTA policy formulation, ensuring equality of opportunities for women and men in the AfCFTA. Now, it's important to note that the learning materials for this course are based on a review of known literature on gender, trade, and the AfCFTA. The course materials do not provide an exhaustive account of research in these areas. They are intended instead to serve as a nimble and dynamic tool to support the targeted strategy of gender mainstreaming. But for a more detailed and deeper understanding of the theory on a particular topic of interest, you are encouraged to consult the wide range of recommended resources contained at the end of each module. Of utmost importance is the need throughout the course for you to be able to contextualize and to apply the theory in the learning materials to domestic realities and to the national development priorities of your country. With regard to the method of study, there will be 4 more modules that are available and that will open consecutively throughout the course. Begin by viewing the slides and the multimedia lecture accompanying each slide, and then proceed to studying the course materials. Once you feel comfortable with your knowledge, you may proceed to taking the module quiz and to attempt the exercise questions. The course, as you know, will run for a period of 4 weeks, from 28th September to 20th October. The 5th week will be dedicated to an evaluation of a final exam that will assess your knowledge and skills that you have acquired throughout the course to mainstream gender in your country's national strategy to implement the AfCFTA agreement. Now, before we begin, I would like you to reflect on the significance of the AfCFTA. Because as Africans, the AfCFTA means so much more to us than just the largest free trade area in the world. It's more personal because this historic Pan-African program that enables Africa to simultaneously pursue socioeconomic development and peace and security is a milestone in the Pan-African journey of One Africa. And while the AfCFTA brings together an ecosystem of partners to support implementation, responsibility to ensure the sustained success of the AfCFTA lies solely in our hands as Africans. And the Guide to Gender Mainstreaming in AfCFTA national strategies is the first step, and one of very many, to help shape the trajectory of the AfCFTA so that it delivers on a range of developmental priorities that lie at the heart of national, regional, and global development agendas. So colleagues, friends, it's really my privilege to embark on this journey with you, particularly in September. A month, I must point out, for those of you who are not aware, coincides with the birthday of one of the pioneers of the AfCFTA, Africa's Kwame Nkrumah. And as we come together for this first online course, convened by the African Trade Policy Center and the Institute for Economic Development and Planning, we are cognizant both of the responsibility and of the opportunities that we are given to ensure that AfCFTA implementation supports the goals of gender equality under the AfCFTA agreement and advances the economic empowerment of women. As victims who often bear a disproportionate burden in all stages of conflict and crises, women across the region are disproportionately among the left behind. But at the same time, as you will agree, African women are a powerful force for development, whose strength and leadership remain fundamental to the ultimate success of the AfCFTA. So ensuring equal opportunities for women and men in the AfCFTA can drive sustainable and inclusive socioeconomic development on the continent. And our collective efforts as part of this first course on gender mainstreaming in AfCFTA national strategies advances this objective. And in so doing, we support the vision and the legacy of leading Pan-Africanists, including Prof. Sheikh Anta Diop, Kwame Nkrumah, Steve Biko, Patrice Lumumba, Gamal Nasser, and many others who continue to inspire and to guide us. Participants, let us begin. Thank you.